Former Canadian Minister of Defense Paul Hellyer made headlines recently as the highest-ranking government official to ever publicly acknowledge the existence of extraterrestrial life and the Galactic Federation.
All right, we're talking to Paul Hellyer, former Canadian Minister of Defense, who says extraterrestrial life forms exist and are present on Earth. We'll talk.
Well, the first question you have to ask is how many species are there? And I used to think there were, between 2 and 12.
The species that you're describing, are they all different in terms of nice and mean?
Well, it's a difficult question to answer because they have different agendas. And maybe all of us on Earth should have the same agenda, but you couldn't say maybe that Russia and China and the United States all had the same agenda at every turn, because they don't. And I would say that nearly all are benign, they're benevolent, they want to help us. There may be 1 or 2 species which do not. And that's one of the things I'm investigating at the moment, is to see who they are and what they're up to and what their agendas really are. But the latest reports that I've been getting from various sources are that there are about 80 different species. And they're what we call the Nordic blondes, and also the tall whites, who are actually working with the United States Air Force in Nevada. They're able to get away with that. They had a couple of their ladies dressed as nuns went into Las Vegas to shop, and they weren't detected. And I have a friend who saw one of the men walking along the street, and somebody who would recognize that they were different, and he did. So they're those kind, and then there are the short rays, as they call them. They have very slim arms and legs, and they're very short, just a little over 5 feet, and they have a great big torso and a great big head and great big brown eyes. But they're different species, so you have to know that they're different species. And if you saw the short gray, if you saw the short grays, you certainly know that there was something up that you'd never seen before. But if you saw one of the Nordic blondes, well, you'd probably say, "Oh, I wonder if she's from Denmark or somewhere."
And we're back with Paul Hellyer, former Canadian Minister of Defense, to talk about extraterrestrial life forms. Great to have you back. So, these extraterrestrial creatures, where did they come from, and how did they get here to Earth?
They come from various places. For a long while, I only knew about ones who came from different star systems, the Pleiades and Reta Reticula, and several other star systems. But in the last few months, I have met people who have made me aware of that there are some which is one of the moons of Saturn, and that there are others on Venus and some on Mars, and that they may be interacting between themselves. I suspect that they are, because there is what is called a federation of these people, and they have rules. For example, one of the rules is that they don't interfere in our affairs unless they're invited to. And that's one of the reasons, probably, that we haven't seen more of them until very recently. And,
people who actually want to see them and know who they are, would they need a special invitation to interact with us? What does it mean? They don't want to interfere into our affairs.
Well, they don't want to tell us how to run our affairs. They have accepted the fact this is our planet, and we have the right to run it. Forests, and we're polluting our rivers and our lakes, and we're dumping sewage in the oceans, and we're doing all sorts of things which are not what good stewards of their homes should be doing, and they don't like that, and they've made it very clear. And as a matter of fact, they have given us a warning.
How?
And this has come from more than one source.
How have they made it clear? What have they done?
They have talked to people. One of the chaps I talked to about a month ago was interacting with them in 1974, he and his brother, in Peru. And they were taken to Andromeda, teleported, and they were told what the people there think, and that we're wrecking our planet. And in fact, that something dreadful is going to happen to it if we don't smarten up and change our ways. We spend too much time fighting each other. We spend too much money on military expenditures and not enough on feeding the poor and looking after the homeless and the sick, and that we are polluting our waters and our air, and that we're playing around with these exotic weapons, thermonuclear weapons, and atomic weapons, which have such a devastating effect both on our Earth and other areas of the cosmos. And they don't like that. And that's the reason they would like to work with us to teach us better ways, but only, I think, with our consent. And they work through individuals, and they try and pick out individuals who won't be frightened to death of them, because they can give them quite a fright. One of the cases I'm familiar with was the tall whites in Nevada. Charles Hall, in the Tall Whites, and as a result became very good friends with the mother. And as soon as they could trust each other, they had a wonderful relationship. And he wrote a book about it. It's called Millennial Hospitality. Millennial Hospitality. And it tells you you go through these stages of being scared out of your wits. But then when you establish a trust and a working relationship, why you can have the same relationship, same kind of relationship that you would have with someone here on Earth.
But here's what I'm thinking: if you're outing their presence, which is clearly not what they want, since they're hiding, why aren't they? Why aren't they so afraid of the people? Aren't you afraid of professions? Because you're obviously saying that they're here among us, and you're telling me all the species that exist.
That they are here among us, and I'm not afraid because in most cases, as far as technology is concerned, they're light years ahead of us, and we have learned a lot of things from them. A lot of the things that we use today, we got from them. Lead lights and microchips and Kevlar vests and all sorts of things that we got from their technology, and we could get a lot more too, especially in the fields of medicine and agriculture, if we would go about it peacefully. But I think maybe some of our people are more interested in getting their military technology, and I think that's wrong. I think that's wrong-headed. And that's one of the things that we're going to have to change, because we're going to have to work together, all of us, everywhere on the planet.
You mentioned military technology and swapping technologies and barters between aliens and people in American government. I want to ask you, as a former Minister of Defense of Canada, if interested in that possibility, should we be creating a Star Wars force to
in our airspace without asking who they are or what they want. And right from the beginning, we started scrambling planes and trying to shoot them down, but their technology was superior enough that we weren't able to get away with it, certainly not for a long while. And during that period of time, they could have taken us over without any trouble if they'd wanted to. So I think we have to, rather than develop our own Star Wars, Earth Star Wars, to protect ourselves against them, that we should work with the benign species, who are the vast majority, and work together and rely largely on them, of course, and cooperate so that we would be contributing something at the same time. But I don't think there's any point in us developing a galactic force that would tempt us to go out on our own and get into mischief, which is one of the things I think some of them are concerned about.
But what do you expect to happen if people start to believe in alien existence on Earth? Because things are definitely going to change. Our lives aren't going to be the same anymore.
Well, I hope that's the case. I hope that's the case. And I'm going to push very hard for full disclosure in the book I'm writing, and to give some reasons for it, things that we really have to know and have a right to know, and that our future as a species, and here I mean all of the species in the world, are potentially at risk if we don't figure out what's going on and work together to try and make life more amenable for all of us. And to work with our neighbors from other planets as well.
It's still like, I'm thinking to myself, if they've been here for such a long time, as you say, and they're interested in helping humanity, as you say, why is our world such a mess? I mean, if you want to help someone, you just help someone. You don't wait for someone to invite you to help that someone, no?
Well, it's something that I think parents can sometimes say to their children, this is what you should do. But that doesn't mean the children are going to do it, does it? Because the cosmos is based on free choice. And we're given the option of making mistakes, of making wrong choices. And I guess what bothers some of us is we've made too many wrong choices and not enough right choices. So we're going to have to start switching our priorities and stop spending so much time and effort and weapons to kill each other or to dominate each other, and spending a lot more time on how to help each other to have a better life, a just society. If we just get together and row, as we say, row in the right direction, the same direction. And it's possible, but it's a tall order, and so far we haven't done it. My thesis would be that we have to do it, we have to start doing it right away.
Thank you so much for this interesting interview and insight on extraterrestrial life. That was Paul Hellyer, former Canadian Minister of Defense.